Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Against All Odds. And as I say before every podcast starts, this is purely a selfish reason why I do the podcast, because I love to speak to inspirational people. So today I'm very excited to welcome Edda Hardy from Master Your Future. How are you, my lovely?
I'm well. What about yourself?
I'm really, really good. Yes, yes. So, Master Your Future. That just sounds amazing. Your company called. So, how long have you been doing that?
I started in 2011, so it's about 13 years.
Wow, wow. So, what I always when I speak to people, when they're kind of working to impact other people on like a level that you do, there's always kind of a reason why you got into it. So, what's your big why?
What's my big why? Okay, very
Yes.
good question. All right, so we're gonna have to do a bit of a uh, journey to back in about 20 years. Is that
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love this. Yes.
Okay. So on the outside, at the time, I was very happy. Yeah, I
Mhm.
had a very successful career. My background is computer programming. I'm also a qualified accountant. So
Right.
I had everything I wanted. I had a family, I had a lovely house, I worked for the best companies in the world, staying in the finest hotels, everything. But I
Yeah.
wasn't happy. Yeah. Despite all my external success, I was extremely miserable. I had a difficult childhood as well. I'm also an empath. So I don't know if you're an empath, but as empaths, we tend to take things into heart, so much more than the other people.
Right.
So because of all this, my past traumas and everything, I was really struggling. I was battling with depression. I was also grappling with suicidal thoughts. And I become a single mom with two young children, doing three people's workload. I was getting extremely stressed. Even though I was searching for solution from so many different places, going to doctors, counselors, therapists, I just couldn't find answer. I was overwhelmed. I was, burned out. I just couldn't do anything. I
Yeah.
pushed myself to my limits. And but I also knew that I always had a calling. But I did not think I was good enough. I did not think I was special enough. So I pushed this calling into the I don't know, deep areas. I didn't want to hear it. I knew I was here to help people, but it was like, oh no, I'm not good enough. So I tried to overcome my challenges. I couldn't overcome it, and it come to a breaking point. I was exhausted. I was bedridden. I was in unbearable pain for over 2 weeks. I couldn't sleep. The pain was so severe, I could not sleep. So I started praying and praying, and I had to make a very difficult decision. It was a kind of either, I had to find a solution to my suffering, or I have to end it all.
Right.
I couldn't carry on. It was too painful. I mean, it was too painful. I just couldn't.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I made the decision, and I chose me and my children, and I promised to the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, I said, I'm going to find a solution to all this suffering. I'm going to find a way, quick way to help people heal, quick way to help eliminate this suffering. It's too much.
Yeah.
So I started looking for, solutions and everything, and starting training and learning, traveling the world and everything. Started learning from the best people from, their industry and everything. And every time I'm thinking, I'm getting close to it, I'm getting close to it, I wasn't getting close to it. But I was
Right.
determined because I made a promise, I have to keep my promise. And I had, therapy sessions, I attended so many training programs. I spent over £180,000, let's put it that way, to find solutions.
Wow. Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
And at the end, I find the solutions. I found it in the subconscious mind.
Fabulous.
Because if you think about the mind, powerhouse, subconscious is 95%, controls everything I'm saying at the moment, controls our breathing, our heart rates, controls our fears, how you react to certain things, but I was not aware of it. And that's 95% of the mind. And the conscious mind is only 5%.
Hmm.
I realized all the answers was in subconscious mind, and I started studying subconscious mind and become an expert in that area, and everything changed for me. All my, traumas started disappearing, my fears, my limiting beliefs, my low self-esteem, everything started disappearing. I was like, oh my God, this is where the solutions are. I made a promise and I kept my promise. Now I change lives with ease within minutes instead of years. So that's how it started for me.
That's amazing. And well, I'm a brain coach, so I love the subconscious and conscious brain. But you spoke there about the feeling of not being good enough. Now, a lot of people feel like that. They'll have this big dream of what they want, and then all of a sudden it's like, but that won't happen for me, or I'm not good enough for that. And it'll always be put on the shelf as something that they'd like to do if they're ever good enough one day. How do you start to kind of get out of that mindset? Because it's not an easy mindset to get out of.
No, it's really difficult. I mean, I had to become bedbound. I had to kind of face
Yeah.
things I didn't want to face, but most of us don't have to do that. Because I had an abandonment trauma when I was 10 months old. So my mum left, went to another country, and it made me feel unwanted. It made me feel I'm not good enough. So it's always important to find out where that belief is coming from.
Yeah.
Sometimes people say, oh, I don't know where that belief is coming from, but your subconscious does know. And once you start working with the subconscious and subconscious feels safe, it opens up and gives you all the answers. And we always make a decision in a moment. And if we manage to go and find that moment, we can also undo that moment.
Yeah.
And completely release that belief. Because what's a belief if you think about it? Belief is something that we keep telling ourselves over and over again, isn't it?
Yeah.
And since we're a little child, we make that decision, say, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, whatever it is to believe. And we go and find so many different examples that we are not.
Yeah.
And it becomes like a snowball, isn't it? We created this snowball, and every time we get approved, that snowball gets bigger and bigger, and it becomes us, but that's not us. And once we go and address the first time we make that decision, we can release that belief, and we're starting believing in ourselves. That's exactly what I did. Exactly what I did, and that's exactly what I do for my clients as well. And this can be done in one session. It doesn't have to be years. Just going and finding that core moment that we make that decision as a child. Normally, we make it as a child before we are 8 years old because
Yeah.
we don't have any filtering. And once we've done it, that's it. We don't procrastinate, we don't self-sabotage ourselves, and we can just step into our power with ease, like the way that I did.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things I always say to people, you have to be willing to let go of your limiting beliefs as well, because it's quite a scary thing, isn't it, to be kind of free of limiting beliefs. It's almost like you're standing there naked all of a sudden, like you've got no excuses anymore. So do you have to work with people on that element of fear as well?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Fears are the one thing that holding us back. Fears, the beliefs. I mean, I tend to work with entrepreneurs because that was my challenge. I had this calling, I couldn't step into my power. So I do the same thing for other people now. I get them to step into their powers, but I understand their challenges. And the biggest challenges for entrepreneurs, fear, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fear of
Absolutely.
being visible, fear of success, fear of failure. I mean, I know how real they feel, but once you overcome them, you look back and you're thinking, what was I so afraid of?
Yeah. I'm glad you've mentioned the fear of success, because people don't realize that that's actually a thing. So you can have a fear of, oh my God, this isn't going to work. But the flip side of that is, if it blows up and goes massive, how am I going to cope? and
Exactly.
then how my family life will suffer, and then this and this and this. So yeah, fear of success is actually a thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it can cause burnout, it can cause overwhelm, it can cause resentment from other
Yeah,
people. They can lose people. Oh, there's so many different things. It depends again what's in the subconscious, what they've seen in the past.
yes, yeah. Do you find, so I this podcast goes out to quite a lot of self-employed people and entrepreneurs. Do you find that overwhelm is a big one? A lot of people I speak to, it's finding, because we're having to grow as businesses as well, so there's possibly new things we've got to learn. I mean, social media is always changing and things like that, marketing, business strategies, and then they're automatically going back to our family, and especially women, I think they suffer quite a lot with overwhelm in business.
Overwhelm, burnout, exactly what happened to me because I was doing three people's workload at work. My background is computer programmer, and
Right.
I'm a qualified accountant. So I was doing three people's workload, single mom, looking after two kids. You have to do what they ask you to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Burnout. And I did not realize I was actually stuck in the fight, flight, and freeze response for
Yeah.
years, over 20 years. I did not realize it.
Mm.
Because of that, I have an autoimmune condition now, Hashimoto's. I did not
Right.
know at the moment, and that's a big fear, burning out, because it happens to us. It happened to me. It happens to so many people that we are so worried about burning out. But at the moment, it's a completely different story because I release my fears. I'm not really worried about burning out. I can take time off work. I can do whatever I want to do. I mean, like this summer, I took 4 months off. I was in Turkey, didn't work. I can do that now. But before, when I was doing my 9 to 5 job, a maximum I can, take was like 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's a different story. I started creating my own reality based on my values, based on my desires.
yeah, yeah. I like the way that you've mentioned values as well, because that gets brought up a lot of time. I think, values tend to be, people think, oh, it's like things like loyalty and honesty and things like that, but they're kind of like social idealisms, really, isn't it? It's what really you value yourself and what you want for your life.
Exactly, yeah.
And I do kind of talk to a lot of people as well, that I think this is a society thing, that and this probably comes from when we're younger as well, where that old saying, I want never get. So people are actually quite worried at the minute to say, well, I want this to happen in my life, because it almost sounds like you're needy or spoilt or something like that. And people actually have a bit of fear of going, actually, I want this. And like you said, like past experiences, one of the biggest things was, I want never gets, that parents used to tell children, and it's all of a sudden it becomes this big problem in adulthood, that you just don't sell, well, you don't come out and say what you want in life.
Yes. We don't realize that we do matter.
Yeah, yeah,
Because,
yeah,
you know, we learned it from our childhood. We don't talk about ourselves, we don't say good things about ourselves, otherwise people might think that we are big-headed and stuff. We always put other people first, we put our children first. I have to undo all of that and started putting my needs first, my desire first, looking deeply, what do I want? Why am I here? That was my question. Why am I here? What's this world about? What am
yeah,
I doing? Am I here to just buy a house, buy a car, and raise children? And something within me said, no, you're not. You're here to make an impact. You're here to help people, you
yeah,
know, and you're free to do that. Freedom is one of my, top values. I want to be free to do whatever I want to do in my life. And I
yeah,
want to help people. Impact is another value. And I'm doing that.
yeah,
Now,
on
you
a
know,
huge scale.
yes, I love what I do. I love seeing my clients' transformation, getting people unstuck, giving them a purpose in their life, empower them, taking their power back. It's such an important thing. I wish somebody was able to do that to me. when I was in that bed and, contemplating what I'm going to do with my life.
Yeah. When you look back at those 2 weeks in bed, are you grateful for that now? Because it basically changed your life, didn't it?
It did, yeah. It's like post-traumatic growth, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was difficult, it was painful, but it was like I had to make that decision. I had to kind of say enough is enough. I know comfort zone is comfortable, even though you're in pain, you are comfortable because unknown is scary. And it was
Yeah.
the same for me. Unknown is scary. Who am I to do this? Who am I to help people? Who am I to do this kind of podcast, put
Yeah.
myself out there? I mean, I'm a serious introvert, very shy. I've been abandoned. My mum didn't want me. If my mum didn't want me, who will want me? Imagine me putting myself out there doing this. I hidden behind the coding. I hidden behind the numbers, so I didn't have to speak.
Yeah. And look
But
at you now.
but universe had different ideas for me. So I had to kind of learn to overcome my own challenges, learn to overcome my own programming, to put myself out there so I can help other people. And the other thing that really helped me was like seeing people committing suicide, knowing that I could help them. I
Yeah.
was like, I cannot keep myself small anymore because people are dying here. I have to do something about it. Even if I can save one person, that's a good thing. I just need to be a couple of steps ahead of somebody to help them.
Yeah.
So I really kind of push myself forward, just a step by step out of my comfort zone, slowly. We don't have to do everything one go. If somebody told me 20 years ago I'm going to be doing this podcast interviews, talking at this summits, I'll be like, no way, come on, no way. I couldn't even speak in the meetings. I couldn't open my mouth.
Yeah.
It was scary. But now that, you know, I'm looking at everything from a completely different perspective. I'm coming from a serving perspective.
Yeah.
How can I serve somebody? How can I help somebody else? You know, my energy is different. My beliefs are different. My fears are different. I mean, I managed to overcome quite lots of my fears, but it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy, but I did, one step at a time, one step
Yeah.
at a
That's amazing. It's that, yeah, you kind of, to get over fear, you have to do what you're fearing as well, don't you? Otherwise, it doesn't work.
I couldn't do it, honestly. I was asked to do a 1 minute YouTube videos. It took me 150 take or something. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do a 1 minute video. I was that bad, honestly. You had no idea how many
Do you know,
times I tried it.
I can remember I had a similar thing. And I think, it's like, because we're talking, so I'm finding this easier. But, if I'm filming something and there's nobody on the other side to talk to me, it's just me talking, it's very difficult.
I couldn't put the words together. I'm not kidding. Because
Yeah.
because of my abandonment trauma, I had a massive speech impediment and kids made fun of me. I
Oh.
couldn't speak. Yeah.
Mm.
So my background is quite traumatic. Every time I spoken, when I was younger, my family made fun of me. My friends made fun of me. It was one of those keep quiet, Ada, so people don't make fun of you.
So you were
So
scared to speak.
yeah, it was very difficult for me to start speaking my truth, speaking my message, very difficult. So massive transformation for me, massive. And same for my clients. Now I understand I had to go through those experiences to resonate with my clients. Sometimes people come to me and I go, oh my God, I went through the same experience and I know exactly how to get you out of there. Exactly, in one session as well. I do that. That's my specialty. I help my clients to overcome one issue in one session. So we move very, very quickly. I wish somebody was able to do that to me years ago. I would have paid anything, anything.
Yeah. Well, people can end up in therapy for years, can't they? And that's like not feeling any better for it. So having a different approach
Yes.
is definitely worth trying. And I think as well, with you having a backstory and a big why, because it's a huge why, why you're doing this, you'll instantly make people feel more comfortable if they can resonate with you
Yes.
as well. You
Yeah.
know,
My one is kind of, I feel like this is my purpose. That's why I came to Earth. You know, I was always searching my reason being on Earth. This is why I've been put on Earth, help people. And my clients mentions often the working with me has been like the best decision and investment of their lives. And
mm,
that's big. Because I work with the best people in the industry, and I can't say that for anyone.
yeah, you're showing people a different way, aren't you? I love that. Now, when we spoke, because I know you work with NLP techniques and you work with inner child as well. Talk to me about inner child stuff because I don't know too much about this, so I'm intrigued.
Oh, okay. I also do EFT as well. EFT
Uh,
is my specialty, emotional freedom technique.
Right, okay.
That's kind of tapping. Have you, I don't know if you heard of
I've
that.
I've heard of it, but I'm not too sure how it works. So
I'll
talk.
tell you all about that as well
Yeah,
because EFT is my specialty. So, inner child healing focuses on addressing and healing the unresolved emotional wounds from your childhood. Yeah,
right,
like I mentioned, my traumas from my childhood. So, these wounds can be caused by experience such as neglect, trauma, or unmet needs during, our early years. So as we grow up, these unresolved issues can manifest as limiting beliefs, emotional triggers, or patterns, or self-sabotage, and impacting our relationship, our career, or our well-being. It can have a massive, massive impact. So by connecting with our inner child, the essential part of us, the carrying that experience, that past experience, we can begin to understand and heal and release the pain and believe that are holding us back. It's
right,
extremely powerful. So what happens is that with the inner child's healing, um, we can allow ourselves to nurture that inner child and reparent them,
right. Okay,
the younger version of ourselves. So providing the love, the care, validation that they might have never received.
right. Okay,
So this process also helps us to break the cycle of old patterns and lead us greater self-awareness, emotional freedom, deeper sense of inner peace. And if you think about it, sometimes people get triggered by certain words or certain actions, and they don't know why they get triggered. It can trigger one person, it cannot trigger. That's the inner child
right. Okay, yeah,
saying, I've got a scar here, heal me. So if you think about it, you got these invisible scars on your arms, yeah? And
yeah,
if somebody come and touches it, it hurts, wouldn't it?
yeah.
Evan touches it. Now Evan hit it, touches it. But if you heal those inner child scars, even somebody comes and hits it really hard, it wouldn't hurt. It's the same when we do the inner child healing. So I use so many different modalities. Like you mentioned, neuro-linguistic programming is one of them. It's amazing. I trained with the co-founder of NLP as well, Richard Bandler, years ago. I use it quite often, but my go-to always been EFT, emotional freedom technique, like the name suggests, emotional
Yeah.
freedom technique. It's the tapping. It works with the body's meridians and aqua points like acupuncture, but instead of using needles, we use tapping to kind of stimulate that points to release the emotions because emotions get stuck in the body.
Yeah,
Most people not even aware of that.
yeah, yeah.
They do. And they trigger us and they can cause lots of illness. So for instance, I'll give you an example. One of my clients, this is amazing example, just still fascinates me. She was in constant pain 24/7. Her back was hurting. She was on very, very strong painkillers and she used to get migraines all the time. And we cover that this started when she was 16 years old. She fell off from her horse. She broken her back. And as a result, she thought that she was getting this pain. So over 20 years, she was using these painkillers non-stop every single day. But once we worked on this issue at the subconscious level again, her losing her horse, her best friend, the grief and everything, the pain disappeared in the same session from her back, and her migraines disappeared same session, and they did not come back. So
Wow.
body was holding on to that and causing the
Yeah.
pain. There's an amazing book called Body Keeps the Score. I highly recommend it to anybody if they got any issues that doctors couldn't find a solution or anything. It's amazing. I will recommend you have a look at it because there's a reason for everything. All the aches and pains. Body is so clever. It can heal itself unless there's a block, emotional block. But once we release the emotion block like EFT, we can get rid of that. We can heal.
Mm. Yeah, I love that because, like you say, your body is, it's like an alarm clock to your emotions, isn't it? I always say to people, it's like stress and things like that. Your body will come out in physical symptoms, but when you're holding stress for a long time, sometimes you become aware that you're stressed, and that could be like from inner child stuff. You know, we just get used to the amount of stress, but your body will constantly try and tell you.
Yes, yes, exactly. And we can release it with AFT or NLP as well. I mean, I do have my own protocol. It's an 8-step framework that I use. It's called Inner Self Mastery Protocol. I use that to help my clients, and it's the combination of 14 different subconscious modalities that I use. And it's amazing. Once we start from step 1 to step 8, by the time we come to step 8, nobody suffers from whatever the issue they're having. They no longer have the limiting belief or the fear. We just get rid of it. And if they stuck in the say fight, flight or freeze response, we get them to get unstuck. We also rewire the nervous system as well. So important, because when we are stuck in the fight, flight or freeze response because of our traumas as well, our nervous system is on the go. We are stuck. And what's happening as a result, the body is continuously producing adrenaline, cortisol, using everything that we need, and causing autoimmune issues like me. That's why
Yeah,
I've got autoimmune issues, because of the stress that I was continuously, stuck at. Now, you know,
yeah,
I
I'm
wish
with that. I ended up with an autoimmune disease as well. Mine was colitis. So, yeah.
I wish somebody told me this kind of things years ago. This stuff should
Yeah,
be told in schools, so we know
yeah,
how to get out of that place. We know, how to handle our traumas, how to handle our emotions, our fears, but nobody tell us.
no, no, no. Yeah, so I can resonate on the autoimmune disease.
It is difficult.
Yeah, it's like somebody should have told me earlier. But yeah, it's absolutely fascinating, and like you say, it definitely should be taught at a young age. You
Yes.
know, where they should run it in schools and things like that, and add it into education, because I think it's really, really important for people's health.
Yes.
So are you better now? Are you managing your autoimmune disease?
Yes, I am with my
Yeah.
subconscious, thanks to my subconscious, because I know how to program it and I know how to listen to my body. I'm not one of those people that, like to express the symptoms. I listen what's going on. I don't go and take, painkillers and use medication. I'm like, there's a reason this is happening to me. My body is talking to me. What is it? What's happening here?
It's that alarm clock again, because I think that's really important to point out as well. Once you learn about your subconscious, you're more likely to spot the alarms in the future. It's not that you have to keep going back to square one to learn it again. You'll be more aware.
Yes. And because I think I'm an EFT master trainer and I know how to use EFT quite well, I can go and address the issue, where it's coming from or which trauma is coming from. Like the client I mentioned to you, something coming up, I'm going addressing it. Okay, this is what it is. My body is holding on to it. Let's release this trauma, set my body free. Every time I notice something, I'm working through my inner self mastery protocol and I'm releasing, keep releasing it.
Yeah. Would you say that's part of burnout as well? Because, you know, we do ignore the alarm clock of
Yes,
physical symptoms.
yes.
That must lead massively to burnout.
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, fight, flight, and freeze response. I was stuck in the fight. We don't realize it. I didn't realize it 20 years. I was stuck in the fight
Mm.
response. So I'm going to give you an example how somebody might know they stuck in those responses. So it might help somebody. So for instance, if someone got tightness in their body, if their muscles are really tight and they may be kind of always on the kind of go and they can't relax, they might be stuck in the fight response, or they might have a quite increased heart rate. They might feel like they need to fight with people. You know,
Mm.
they always looking for a fight. You know, some people you see them, they looking for a fight. They might have a confrontational behavior. They might not take responsibility. They're always ready to fight. These people are usually stuck in the fight response. So if anybody kind of experienced this, they need to go and find out when they got stuck in there. Like I said, if they address that point and tell the subconscious they are safe at the moment, they will be released. But unless they go to that moment and tell the subconscious that it's okay, they stuck in there. They're not even aware because it becomes their second nature. Another
Yeah.
one, flight. We see that very often, yeah. Someone feeling like relentless, yeah. They not able to stay still. They just want to kind of move. They avoid things. They avoid responsibilities. They want to escape. They want to run away. It means they stuck in the flight, and that usually happens with very young children if they have a bit of a strict, let's call it strict parents, like how, you
Mhm.
know, imagine a big dad just shouting at a little child. They can't even, you know, they want to run away, they want to get away, don't they? Because they know they're going to get beaten up or something like this. And the only solution, they can't fight. The only solution they can do is run away. So
Yeah.
people experience that kind of traumas, the events, they usually stuck at the flight. But also freeze is possible as well because sometimes child got nowhere to run, they freeze in this situation. Like a school, teacher shouting at them, saying something to them. What do? They can't do anything. They can't run away. They cannot fight. They freeze. So what happens is usually if they freeze in the same place, they usually these people are unable to move. They might be stuck in the same job. They're not able
Yeah.
to move. Yeah. And they get zoned out. They kind of detach from the situation. They unable to kind of speak or decide. They don't know which way to go, which way to turn. They can't make a decision. Their breathing becomes quite shallow, restricted, and they might shut down. You might experiencing like if they come across a confrontation, they might freeze, they might go blank, they can't
Yeah.
say anything. So it means they stuck in the freeze response.
Yeah.
This is some examples.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's about being really, you've got to be really honest with yourself as well, because a lot of people, um let's just take the fight response for instance, where somebody's, you know, very snappy or aggressive or confrontational.
Yes.
A lot of people are unaware of how they are actually. Like they'll say, "Oh no, 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 I'm not stressed." I very rarely shout. Yeah, they've probably been shouting all day. So you, part of it, the first step is you've got to be really honest with yourself, haven't you?
Exactly. And we're not. Because we accept ourselves the way we are.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
And the internal languages, you know, we don't say it out, but internal languages, you know, what we say to ourselves, we don't say it to other people. We don't
yeah,
say it to our children, you know.
yeah, yeah. I'm a big one for if you speak to anybody that I speak to, it's like I've always watched your language and it's more towards yourself than anybody else. But yeah, I always say as well to people, it is that step one is actually acknowledging that you are stressed in some way, whether it's fight, flight, or freeze. I think some people have acted that way for such a long time. It's the uncomfortable feeling of being angry and the physical symptoms becomes the norm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they just suppress the feelings with lots of medication.
Yes. Yeah. And it's I know that's medication, they have horrible side effects as well. So it's like you're covering the problem up instead of sorting the solution and adding, but yeah. And yeah, so that's inner child in EFT. So is NLP, is that a different technique, or does that kind of surround the same thing?
No, neuro-linguistic programming is slightly different. That's more about sort of reframing as well. It's an amazing technique. It was founded by John Granger and Richard Bandler in 80s, I think, if I remember correctly. So that's let me see. It's more kind of mixing hypnotherapy as well with the kind of reframing the mind, rewiring the mind.
Right.
The kind of getting people to understand how they seeing things and if it's the right way to see it or not. So it's got so many different techniques as well, neuro-linguistic programming, to kind of get people to understand themselves. I give you an example. One of the things the neuro-linguistic programming mentions, everyone is different. We know everyone is different. But some people might be, let's say, auditory. It means that they like to listen. Yeah, they like to talk. Usually auditory people are like to talk. Some people are visual. So they need to usually they need to see. So when
Yeah.
somebody, if say, let's say somebody come and just talking to them, because they can't see things, it's difficult for them to grab the concept.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
some people are kinesthetic. So it means they kind of learn with touching with their emotions and experiencing it. So with NLP, when it comes to it, it kind of explains to us that everybody learns differently, and also, get information differently, and we need to treat them differently as well. We can't treat everyone the same. So in a school, let's say we got 20 students, some kinesthetic, some visual, some auditory. How can you teach them the same way? It's not going to.
Yeah.
And mostly, from my own experience, I see that most kinesthetic people, children especially, they dyslexic because they got different way of learning it, and they usually label as having ADHD.
Yeah.
They want to feel, they want to experience it, but they're not allowed to. My son was the same as well, very kinesthetic child, and he wanted to move, he couldn't sit still, and it was destructive for teachers because they did not have the understanding of how NLP, NLP is a kind of, not how NLP works, but how NLP described this kind of people. So I had to go and actually train the teachers, explain to them, this is how it is. You got all the students, and you need to kind of teach them different ways, because what works for one child is not going to work for other child. Very
Yeah.
important. But we don't understand. We still got so much to learn, and we don't understand. And this stuff really needs to move to schools for the sake of the future of the humanity, let's say.
Yeah. I'm completely with you on that. And I think a lot of people as well in like our generation who had, let's say, neurodiverse, when they were at school, there was even less information about it then. And it's like now they're still struggling and they think there's something wrong with them. It's just that they need to do things a slightly different way.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think society as a whole, we kind of try and put people in boxes, and if they don't fit in a certain box, that they struggle, and it's such a shame. I'm so pleased that, I mean, neuroscience is so fast paced moving, that we're learning things all the time, but like you say, it's still massively like understood. But the sooner we can start teaching this in schools,
Yes.
you'll see mental health drop, you'll see things like addiction drop as well. And it'll just be across the board, and even physical health symptoms and diseases will end up dropping as well.
Yeah. Once people understand their emotions, why they kind of behaving today, behaving, why they have got these emotions, why they got, certain thoughts, the life will become so much easier for them.
Yeah, I think through I've spoke to a lot of coaches that actually teach like children, and one of the big things that I've said is going through school, you're never taught how to deal with something when something goes wrong.
Yes.
It's always work hard, pass your exams and things like that. Nobody sits you down and teaches you emotional resilience. And let's be honest, as an adult, our lives will have things go wrong or not as planned or things like that. And if they could teach just something in schools, for me, it would be that, how to overcome something in your life that's not gone to plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm so glad that you've you've said that. So you said you've worked with entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Where can people find you online to reach out to you? Because I think this is absolutely fascinating. And I think, do you work with people that have got like a business idea but haven't done anything towards it yet?
Yes. Aspiring entrepreneurs, I call them.
Love that.
Exactly, because if you think about this is how I was, I wanted to do something, I just couldn't do it because something in me, that invisible forces was stopping me. So that's why I help aspiring entrepreneurs and coaches, business owners, to help them overcome their subconscious blocks.
Yeah.
That's my specialty. So they can create the business, they can create the life and impact they desire. It's so
Yeah.
important. Just moving those, little, I call them little viruses sometimes, little viruses out of the way because it's programming, my background is computer programming. So they
Yeah.
like little viruses out
I like how you've tied that
in
together.
there because it shouldn't be there. It's just being put by the younger version of you. We're not aware of it. It's just the
Yeah.
younger version of us put in there, so we can get them out. So they can connect with me on Instagram, Eda Hardy. They can connect with me on Facebook, Eda Hardy, or other social media platforms as well. I'm on TikTok, YouTube. What else we got? LinkedIn. They can find me everywhere, or they can go to my website, masteryourfuture.co.uk. They can listen to the testimonials as well. They can see what's possible for them. They really don't need to suffer the way I did. Don't need to
Yeah.
kind of stay in their comfort zone. They can make a difference if they have a calling. They're being put on earth for a reason, and the only thing in the way is themselves, nothing else. And we can get those little roadblocks out of the way with ease together.
Well, I have one last question for you. I ask everybody and it throws everybody. Tell me 3 good things about yourself.
I am really passionate about what I do. I
Yeah.
love helping people. I love
Mm.
making a difference. I'm very heart driven. I've got so much love for everyone. I love that about me. I don't see that very often. I love everything. I love animals. I love earth. I love nature. I love people. And I can see through people. I think that's why I love them. I can see the real soul behind them. I really love
Yeah.
that. One last thing, let me see. What would be the last thing? Let me think. Um, One thing I love about myself. I really care about humanity. Would that
Yeah.
count? I
Yeah,
really do. I
absolutely.
really care about the
I'll
future
let
of
you have that
humanity.
one.
I really do. I'm really passionate. I really want to live a better world for humanity. And I really want to help everyone raise their consciousness and make a better world.
Yeah. I have got one extra question for you. Like I did say, I am quite nosy. If you look back at yourself, let's say 20 years ago, do you look back at that person as a different person?
Yes, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. It was a different version of me. And if you think about the hero's journey, are you
Yeah.
hero's journey? That person had to die for me to born.
Yeah.
That's it.
I love that, Anna.
I learned so much from that person, you know, because of that person, I am who I am. That's why I've got so much passion, so much love because of that person. If that person didn't go through all this pain and struggles, um, that wouldn't be me now. Because that's why I don't, because I went through that difficult time. I feel like I went to hell and come back. I never want anyone to go through the same journey that I went through because I know what's it like to be so desperate, be, you know, so much in pain. I will never wish it for anyone. So I will do everything in my power to make sure that nobody go there.
Yeah. You've got a massive heart and a big reason why you're doing what you're doing. So I highly recommend anybody who wants to just try something different and give it a go. Like I say, you say you can do one thing in one session. That's that incredible. So I'd urge anybody just to give it a go, to get in contact with you and to give it a go, because I honestly believe that it is life changing
It is.
once you let go of those limiting beliefs.
It is. I mean, I do run quite lots of trainings. I do run master classes. They can get onto my newsletters to get more information. I even provide certification. I teach other people what I do. You know, I provide accreditation for the subconscious programming certification as well. So if anybody wants to become a subconscious programming practitioners, not just do it for themselves, but do it for their clients as well and become a trauma informed
Yeah,
coach. They can get in touch with me. I teach this because, you know, me just doing this by myself is very difficult. But if I've got other people that I can teach, you know, we can create the ripple effect. We can touch so many people. So I'm
yeah.
always doing, you know, something. I'm doing my best to help humanity.
I love that you are impacting so many people, and like I say, creating that ripple effect as well, which you just reach even more and more people. Well, thank you, my lovely, for being such a fantastic guest. It's absolutely fascinating. I really do love the work that you're doing. Mental health is a huge problem at the minute. So I absolutely salute you for being ill for 2 weeks and changing your life so that you can help everybody.
Oh, it was horrible. Trust me, it was horrible. Not able to sleep, you know, 2 weeks because you're in
Oh,
constant
mate.
pain and agony is not fun. Not fun.
Oh, bless you. I'm so glad that you've changed your life now and not suffering too much. And you'll always have that autoimmune disease, right? Remember to remind you never to go back there.
I am working on it actually. I'm doing really well with it. Recently, before I went to Turkey, I did a 21-day water fast. Again,
Oh,
subconscious, yeah, 21 days. So that really I think helped me. But I'm
right.
also, you know, programming my subconscious to make sure that I've got nothing left. So it's going quite well
Ah,
at the moment. Yes.
yeah, you have to let me know how that goes. That's
Yes.
interesting. Interesting
I'm,
stuff.
I'm never giving up. I'm not giving up. If there is a will, there is a way.
Ah, yes, that's one of my mum's favourite sayings. So yeah. Well, thank you. And like I say, everybody is interested. And if you're interested in being a coach as well, and sharing this whole technique and impacting people, then please get in touch. Thank you so much for joining me, my lovely.
Thank you for
You
having
take care. Thank
me.
you.